Okay, hi guys. I am Kami. I write for my site, themamadiaries.com. So nice to meet you all.
Hi, Kami.
Me
Nice
too.
to see you.
Tell me, what do the Mama Diaries think about Franklin?
What?
What do the Mama Diaries think about Franklin now that you've got to see him?
Oh, yeah, right. So we finally have the origin story for Franklin. Can you guys talk about the inspiration behind creating this story?
Well, the inspiration really comes out of the comic strip. We use the comic strip as kind of our Bible and go-to as far as creating new content. And we've told stories about numerous other characters, Lucy, Pepper and Patty, Marcy, which were well received. And we felt it was Franklin's time was due. So we spent a lot of time, a couple of years, researching Franklin and trying to craft together the story we wanted to tell. And that's how we came up with the story of bonding between Franklin and the crazy neighborhood of the Peanuts gang.
Great. So Welcome Home Franklin, it premieres during Black History Month. Could you guys talk about the significance of that? And also, was it always intended for it to premiere during February?
I don't believe so. I think it really depended on the timing of when the show was going to come out. This show, we took so much responsibility in handling Franklin the way we thought he should have been handling. It took us a lot to decide to do Franklin. It took a lot of time to craft the special. And originally it was slated to be the last one in the series because we knew that we'd want to have enough time to get it right. And as the story was being built, we brought Robb on board. It came together so quickly with Raymond directing and Robb on board and the writing team together that they moved up in schedule and found out this was a good slot for it. And worked out perfect. We're in Black History Month. Franklin's out there. We got a great story to tell.
It's so great. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are really excited about its release. Robb, you are the namesake of Franklin. Can you tell us what that's like and just like how that all came to be?
Sure. I was as surprised as you are, believe me. When I met Schulz, when I met Sparky, when I met Charles Schulz, his friends call him Sparky. He was Charles Schulz then. And I had just signed onto the same syndicate as Peanuts. My comic strip Jumpstart was being launched in 1989. I'm sitting there with my brand new editor in the home of lots of big name strip. Garfield was at United Feature Syndicate back then. All these strips were there. Peanuts, just dominated. It was just an overwhelming thing. And I couldn't believe my good fortune. I'm thinking, wow, like I finally getting syndicated is so hard. I don't even want to talk about it today. It's just very, very difficult. And I broke through young. I was the youngest cartoonist in America at the time and 26 years old. And I'm sitting there looking around going, wow, this is my shot to meet Charles Schulz. We got the same editor and stuff. And I just clumsily said to her, can you do me a favor? Introduce me to Charles Schulz. Sarah Gillespie. She said, what? I said, can you introduce me to Charles Schulz? And here we are with the same syndicate and you can introduce me to him. And she goes, why would I do that? I'm not doing that. I said, really? I mean, I would really like to meet him. She said, yeah, I bet you would. No, I'm not here for that. Like it was so harsh. She looked across the desk at me. I was crestfallen. So she felt badly and said, okay, I'll tell you what, if you send him one of your comic strips, I happen to know he likes that. You write him a letter or something. Here's his address. And she slides across one Snoopy place across the desk. I don't know about you, but I don't live on a street named after anything I've done. So I'm sitting here going, what? And I sent him a comic strip for my first month of syndication or whatever. And then I got a chance to meet him. It took about a little over, not quite a year and a half later, I met him. And he was already like a fan of mine. It was so weird because I didn't have fans then. I was in the 40 newspapers, something like that. And he immediately treated me like I was a big shot. You know what I mean? He just treated me like an equal, not a big shot, but like I was the same as him. He would just talk to me like I was the same as him. He even said, your strip is like Peanuts. Because he had my strip framed up on the wall in his office, which I thought was a put on. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He said, no, I'm a fan, and you've got great characters. That's what Peanuts has, great characters. I was just thinking, why is he talking to me like that? Like I really didn't deserve, honestly, if I had just met him and he was nice to me, I would have been over the moon.
Right.
But the way he was talking to me, I hear it now. I hear it now. It was just incredible. And then for 4 years later, I'm still new in the game. I haven't done much. Calls me up. I need a favor. Are you busy? I'm like, no. I was in over my head with deadlines, of course. He says, have you thought about the fact that Franklin has no last name? I was like, no, I've never thought about that. How would you feel if I gave him your last name? And again, I was like, what's happening right now? Like, Sparky, that's so nice. So I'm not trying to be nice. I mean, I think it's wrong that the characters out here, Franklin is the only character with no last name. Charlie Brown, Linus Van Pelt.
Right.
So you're okay with it? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm okay with it. I wasn't okay with it. I just wasn't worthy. It's Wayne's World. We're not worthy. I just felt like, what's happening? So I never talked about it. I kept it inside for 12 years, And I was giving a speech at the museum, at the Schulz Museum, which you could try to visit if you've never been there. And I mentioned this story that, there's Franklin. That's Franklin Armstrong. He got my name. And gave my little speech. I'm going to sit down. His widow walks up. Jeannie's very close friend of mine today. And she said, how come you never told me that Franklin has your last name? I said, well, it's just, I felt a little weird about it. I'm not going to brag about that. She goes, it's not bragging. It's a major, major thing. And she made some phone calls, I guess, because I started doing interviews about it in PR and stuff like that. And fast forward now, we have this thing. It's done. It's called Welcome Home, Franklin. I'm not unworthy anymore. I don't feel embarrassed anymore. I don't feel anything other than I think he picked the right guy. In fact, I wish Sparky could see this. I think it's magnificent.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a great story. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. Raymond, you are one of my kids' favorite characters in Zootopia. I'm sure you get that a lot. What is it like for you to be part of the Peanuts franchise?
Unreal. It's so crazy. Like we were talking yesterday, doing some interviews, and just the idea of Charlie Brown came up, and then remember that I get with these kids. It's just crazy. When I first started working on these specials, and I would tell people that I was doing that, anyone you told, their faces would melt. They just go, because everyone loves the Peanuts characters. And so then I also felt like, okay, well, I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to be the guy that makes them hate him. So there was a responsibility, but what helped was everybody on the project, from, the executive producers and writers to the artists and production people. Everybody had the same passion, and everyone walked away from all of these specials saying, like, this was one of the best experiences I had in this business, because we were able to put so much heart and meaning into these specials while at the same time entertaining. So yeah, I love that working with these guys and working on these specials.
Craig, what is it like carrying on your father's legacy?
Well, I'll just say it's a tremendous responsibility, and I don't know that I'm carrying it on as much as I try to. We're here for a short time on this planet, and my dad was here for a short time. He created something that I would have hated to see disappear. The family, after he died, decided that no one else would draw the comic strip. We didn't want to see the comic destroyed like so many other comic strips have done. That was a family decision. The family decided we would never do a Peanuts movie. And as time went by and we saw the new generation was not reading the comic strips and newspapers had disappeared, I just said, hey, the only way to reach the kids out there is to create a movie. So we did the Peanuts movie in teen. And I will say that, bringing Raymond on board is so special because he was a student of Peanuts. Obviously, you can tell that by the things, and I'm sure he was a fan of Bill Melendez. But Raymond created a new take on the interstitials mainly. I'm just really impressed with how when you go from scene to scene, the stuff he created and his team on making the characters move and the colors and the backgrounds. I embraced it immediately because it was wonderful, but it was different than anything been done in the past. And that was kind of a bold move because typically there's a classic shot of Peanuts and you want to kind of stick with those angles and those camera angles and stuff, willing to take the risk in that. So we embraced it, and Raymond got better and better and better as each special went on, and he's hit a home run with Franklin with his team.
So, Welcome Home Franklin has, a lot of life lessons and important messages and themes. What are you hoping for the audience to take away while watching Welcome Home Franklin?
Well, I think the general message is can't we all just get along? Go back to the LA Rock. Can't we all just get along? And I think you see that in this town, a bunch of lunatics, and somehow he melds in and he finds his home. And for me, that's the whole thing. We all have a place to call home. Franklin finally finds it after all these years, and he finds it with a bunch of crazy kids and his good buddy, Charlie Brown.
Adults do this thing where we try to do what Franklin tried to do. We try to win. We think winning is important. Like, adults really are making a mistake with that. Like, it's corrupted like lots of different aspects of adult life. We just want to have a conversation that we win some point. And Franklin demonstrates that's not necessarily the most thoughtful or smartest way to go. It turns out that actually winning is not the point at all. We have to listen to someone. We have to love somebody. I'm so concerned about that being lost nowadays. Even with the content the little kids are exposed to, it's like there's a lot of hostile behavior. This is a lot of, I don't know what's going on sometimes, but in this thing we see that their friendship almost serves as a love story, that they have a massive conflict, and you're thinking all hope is lost. And that conflict, the blow up is bad. Franklin says at one point that, Lucy was right about you. You're a loser. He doesn't say you're a loser. But Lucy was right. That lemonade girl, as Craig calls it, the lemonade girl was right about you. And when I saw that written on the page, we're working out the scenes, and I said we should do that. Like we have to soften the blow. Brian is Craig's son. Brian's like, no, to come out the other side with some new understanding, we have to hit that real hard, and of course Neil Liano agreed, Craig agreed, everybody beat me up and I lost. Thank God. It's like the biggest thing I've ever seen in the animated piece. That moment is enormous, and they're right, but that's life. We have to listen to the other side. Maybe we're not right. This idea that I'm right, I just spoke, therefore I'm right. I don't know what happened. I don't know who's getting that. But yes, we're here to help. And I think we have.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry.
Something to add? Sure, absolutely.
I two things really. It's like our differences make life exciting, and at the same time, we all have a lot more in common than we think. We all want connection, and we all want love.
I love that. Thank you all so much. That's all the time I have, but it was so great meeting you all.
You too, Kami.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking with us.